Oh, I'm sorry.
Good, Mike. How you doing?
We're just waiting for Anne Marie.
Are we standing? Are we sitting?
We're going to be standing for have a Facebook page, and we're waiting for Anne Marie to call the meeting.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm old. I'm going to sit down until you
My
stand.
customer without looking at it. If somebody else has one, they can just go in there. You can go in anybody's site.
You didn't get shot.
I'm sorry.
2 hours later.
Hi, Cora.
Yes. Thanks so much for coming.
Oh, you're welcome.
Once one will be possible,
I've lost that obligation to feel like
How's Eva today?
Oh, there you are.
Hi,
Okay, hi, Lauren. Because I have to ask Lauren. I was like, I have no idea what Cora was talking about. Okay, I'm ready.
Turning into Hollywood here.
Lauren, are you trying to go to the group?
Are we ready to call the
Yeah, right, you have to log in.
You're going to need from Weeby once you get in. The group administrator will have.
Does she comb your hair?
Okay, ready?
She's right behind us.
Oh, you're good. You get that out of there.
Administrator.
Good, we're on.
I don't know. I'm just saying it's not.
Okay, the Public Safety and Law Enforcement meeting's about to begin. We'll start with roll call. Annie, please.
Mrs. Edwards.
Here.
Mr. Benson.
Here.
Mrs. Labuda.
Here.
Mr. Sorensen. Mr. Steingart.
Okay, could we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting is a bit unusual. We had the first half of the meeting last Tuesday because Dick Martinkovic was at a training this Tuesday. But I just would like everyone to be aware that starting in June, we're going back to the first Thursday of every month at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Our first presentation is going to be by Judge Josephine Finn, who is the originator, the creator, is that the right word, for the Dream Tank?
Guilty.
Founder. That's right, you just came out of the courtroom.
We ready?
I am absolutely ready. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I have with me today a friend of the Dream Tank, a very dear friend of the Dream Tank, Mr. Leslie Chris of Chris Company, Monticello. Can I move this bag so you can sit next to me?
Yeah.
Another legal notice proof. It's not your code.
It's court, but I'll watch it for you.
We got it going.
See something, say something. Be careful.
No. And so let's begin today. I just want to bring you up to speed on what we've been doing lately. I think that's basically why I'm here. And the first thing I want to talk to you about was on April 13th, Saturday, April 13th, we had a health day. And actually 2 of the legislators showed up, and that was Ira Steingart and Cora Edwards.
Guilty.
And so, since he's not here, you can say what you observed, but it turned out better than I could have expected. We had a turnout of about 40 people, parents, which is a big deal to me, because I have said in the past that, you know, I was a little bit tired of parents doing drive-by drop-offs.
Yeah.
And I'm serious. I mean, I hear tires screeching, the door opens, boot the kid out, and so they showed up. There were parents who showed up. You were there. You saw for yourself. We had a presentation from Cornell Cooperative Extension, which was just phenomenal.
I'd love for them to do it here.
Gladys Walker did okay.
You know her?
For people who don't know, Gladys Walker is
younger sister?
Older. Older.
You're done.
That was close.
You're done.
That's the end of our friendship.
I will make it up to you.
We're 2 years apart. I still have the baby face. But she did a good job, and Dr. Garfinkel, he told me later he was scared to death because he didn't know what he was going to say to these kids. He did a phenomenal job. He had a quiz going on with the audience participation and questions about youth and, you know, things that we all learned something, you know, the leading cause of death among youth and those kinds of things. Those questions got answered. And then we had a licensed practical nurse there, the school nurse, Ann Young, for Monticello High School, and she did a nice presentation. And then the food was provided by Aaron Lipsky, so what could have been wrong with that? It was healthy, it was delicious. I had kids eating stuff that they didn't think they'd ever touch in their lives, and they enjoyed it. So it was good. So that, if you want to say something about your experience.
I think the thing that I took away from that was A, how welcoming it was for everybody, and B, how everybody has a role and can add to it. Like there was that young man that played the guitar, and his guitar teacher was there, and then there was, you know, something for everybody. By the end of it all, you were so full, and I really think that's a tribute, you know, that a program like that can encompass so many different ages, and, you know, it's not an easy thing to do, and I think the fact that everybody had something in that program that they liked was really, really great. They had you had their attention the whole time.
We did.
It was really a good thing.
And the demographics, you just will understand. We have one person there who I've had since he was like 13 years old. Never seen his father because his father's been in prison all of his life. His mother died when he was like 3 or 4 months old. His grandmother raised him. And he is the most talented person you would ever want to meet. So this is the talent we're trying to save from the streets. So that's what you were witnesses. You saw an a cappella group sing.
That's right. And he was the boy that was playing the guitar. That's really a tribute.
And there was another one there who you would never know, but he was homeless, and we've been trying to work with him and family services to, you know, make sure he's not on the street. So, but you don't know to look at people, what they're going through, you know. But they found a home, and that's what's important to me, that they have a place to come. And what I said to you is very true. Leslie hates for me to call him Leslie. That's how far back we go. Les's daughter is in the Dream Tech. Now, she's not a high-risk person. Oh, it all depends on how parents put it. I don't know. Moderate risk. But she's a member of the Dream Tank. And what I actually didn't particularly plan was to mix kids like that, kids who are at risk and kids who aren't. Because what happens is the kids who aren't at risk rub off on the kids who are at risk, and not the other way around. You might think it would be the other way around, but it's not. And so Les got involved and started bringing his family, and he has some things that he wants to say to you also. And that's going to take me to my second project that we did, and this was actually done this past fall. We took the kids out in the woods in Sullivan County. We got a bus from Rolling V, and we put them on the bus, we packed the lunch, and we took them out to the woods. And I threatened them, you know, either you behave or maybe they'll find you one year.
And there will be bears.
And they loved it. And I just want to show you. Hi.
Hi.
I was just saying you were at the health fair.
Yes.
And I thanked you for
You're
coming.
welcome.
You enjoyed yourself,
Yes,
didn't you?
very much. My whole family did.
He brought his family, and your daughter was how old?
She's 11.
And she enjoyed it.
Yeah.
That says something, an 11-year-old. But we're now on to the pictures. So what Leslie had the idea of doing was blowing up some of them.
Please, less.
Well, give me a break. You expect me to change old habits.
Okay.
Now that's just a couple. I have like 50 pictures. What I'd like to do is blow up some more and maybe have an art show here if you would allow it. Maybe have some stuff. I don't know if we could put it in the lobby one of these days.
These are pictures that the kids took?
Oh, absolutely.
May I just interject here, please, for a moment? All right, I have, these are my thoughts on the pictures, all right? These pictures are really great. They show the young people are mastering, how the young people are mastering the art of photography. And They took the pictures, they were out there, but better yet, they show how the young people can meld with the nature of Sullivan County if given the chance to express themselves freely and appropriately. And I think there's many pictures, and I blew up 3, and I should have gotten a few more with young people in it, but they're out in the woods, and I really feel they look mellow out there. And there's many more where they're mellow out in the woods, so they're out there, they're enjoying nature of Sullivan County, and they're also learning about photography. So this is another really wonderful program that the Dream Tank is part of, and we can blow up. We have 3 of them, but as many as 10 or 12, if you'll allow Josephine to Judge Finn to put these in, as a show of what can be done in Sullivan County if given the opportunity for young people to express themselves
Where would you
properly.
like to put these?
Well, I understand there may be some legal issues, but we'll work something out. won't we?
I'll talk.
We'll have a conversation.
I'll talk to Judge Finn.
Other than that, we'll have to parade back and forth in front of the building with the pictures. Legislature will not allow children. Please don't force it.
Josephine, we have a lot of organizations that set up a table downstairs.
Yes.
They sell cookies and cakes, whatever, and then you may want to have the young kids come in with these photos and sell some stuff and make some money.
Yeah.
Why not do it that way as
I think
opposed to hanging them?
We need a bake sale, huh?
Yeah, something, yeah.
Or you can sell the images. Sell the images.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah.
Absolutely.
Les,
Yes.
Judge Finn to you.
We can.
Isn't that
I know what he's
beautiful?
thinking. He says, now I have to print all these things.
He sure does.
That's what she's
Raffle
thinking.
them all.
Well,
Raffle
this does, you should
that works.
see some of the other
Raffle
pictures.
them all.
I mean, we got pictures of, we were over by, is it Rio or Rio?
Rio.
We were over there. That's where this red building is. It's over in that area. And we got the dam, we got some great pictures. So maybe, yeah,
Yeah.
we'll do that. So that was, those were our last couple of projects. We have to, unfortunately, we're gonna have to scale back a little because of course the money keeps going down, you know
Not
that.
if you sell a lot of photos.
Well, we're gonna have to sell or do something. I keep overestimating what we could do, but then you know what? We keep doing more than I think.
Then
You know.
apparently you're underestimating.
Well, I put more on paper than we actually get done in a given year, but we get a lot more done than I could ever expect. Let's put it that way. We've been just very fortunate the way people have treated us, including many of you. So, what do we have on the horizon? Did you want me to go there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's lucky, yeah.
Well, I'm going to do again what I did last year, the male mentoring program in the fall. That was very successful. And we bring in people to talk about various subjects. Last year it was alcohol and drug abuse, how to manage your money, and sexually transmitted diseases. We talked about, we had 9th graders, all males of course, and the superintendent of schools, the principal of the high school, principal of the middle school in this area, they came. We have breakfast, we have lunch, and then they're in those 3 classes during the day, and we're out in time for them to go to the bus. This is the 2nd year I've done it. It seems to be a staple now. It's going to be something that I think really works. We're going to again this year do the bullying commercial. Have you heard our bullying commercial? It's been on the radio. You've heard it, and we just keep running it. Every fall, maybe late August before school starts, we run it. And it costs us a decent penny to put it on the radio. I mean, they're supposed to get $1,000 to put that on, but every year when I finish crying, and I'll leave it at that. But what else? I mean, there's that's it for today. There's other stuff, but I got to save something so I can keep coming back. I will get Nicholas Ferrara here. You know John Ferrara and Claire Sullivan. Their eldest is a phenomenal.
He's the one that
Videographer, I guess.
He's the one that helps us with the.
He also is the one who
photographs.
taught the children. Now, I want to tell you something about this. That was the first time most of those kids had ever picked up a camera. Isn't that something? So
And they took beautiful photos.
They took beautiful photos. Nicholas wasn't exactly happy because he's the pro, you know, so he was like, well, this could have been a little more in focus. I said, look, Nicholas, give me a break. This is the first time they ever had a camera. So those are the things we're working on. As you know, we're in community unity with RISE and the Federation for the Homeless and the Recovery Center. And so we're going to be doing some fundraising with them this summer. Well, all year we do fundraising, and we work together. So that's the story right now, and we'll be back.
I want to thank you, Josephine, for taking the time out of being in court and coming in. And I said, will you embrace coming every month and giving a report?
I tried to get her to let me come every other month.
Poorly.
Maybe Leslie would come and do 1 month.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to start that. I didn't know that was a
Kathy,
secret.
did you want to say something?
That's when he had the longer hair a few.
That's what my mother called him,
decades
so that's what my mother called him, Leslie.
Absolutely.
And he never said anything to her.
Joseph, just two quick things before you leave. First, I want to say that I know for a fact, because I live with a judge, so I know for a fact every day you say, in my opinion, you save somebody's life, you do, because these are young men and women that are they're not bad people, they're making bad choices.
Right.
So having your dream tank in place, not only do you save the taxpayers of this county thousands and thousands of dollars, keeping them out of our jails, but you're saving their lives. And to me, that's important. And I want to say that if you'd like, I would, maybe at some point next week, maybe you and me and Les can sit down, and I'd be happy to help you coordinate having something in our government center with those photos, and maybe 50-50, and to raise some money that way, because in a way to cut your funding, we cut a lot of people's money, to help you raise some of that money that you now lack. So keep up the good work, and I'll be in touch.
Well, I told you when I very first came here, and it still holds true. If you build bigger people, you won't have to build bigger jails.
Right.
And so that still holds true. Okay?
How's listening? From the doorway.
Oh. Hey, wants to keep his job. Watch out. Thank you.
You can retire. Thank you.
Thank you very
No
much.
less.
So the next presentation we're going to make is, I've asked Alex, I know you've come a couple of times today, I really appreciate it, and the 911 center is calling you, so whatever you need to say, there's some really good news. There's no way to spin this into something bad. This is good, good, good.
Yeah, last week when we had part one of the Public Safety Committee, I reported, actually you folks passed a resolution to extend our Verizon telephone agreement for another 6 months because our phone system is end of life, no longer supported by the manufacturer. So with that, within the past week, we were notified that we did receive a round of grant funding for $799,000, which will cover the cost of the new phone system for 911. It'll update the system at 911. It'll also provide another system for our backup location at SP Liberty. So as Cora said, it's a great thing. You really, it's $799,000 we didn't have last week. So it'll certainly go a long way in getting us to the next step. As I mentioned last week, in our industry, we're looking at, okay, when a caller gets a picture of a perpetrator or a bank robber, I know you're going to be talking about Neighborhood Watch. If they see something, how do they get that picture from their cell phone to 911, to the law enforcement? And that's kind of the trend or the direction that Emergency Services 911 is heading in. So these phone systems are what they call next generation, NG 911, for next generation texting to 911, pictures to 911. Not saying that the capability will be there, by the end of this year, but it's certainly a step in the right direction to get us there. So, yeah, we're very happy to have been successful in this grant round.
Thanks so much, Alex. That's a great segue to the next portion of the program committee meeting, which is I'd like to introduce Pat Lubin and Carol from, and also Terry Van Mullen. Am I saying? Vandermullen, I'm sorry. So we'll let Pat go first, and then we'll let, and we're setting up the.
Feel free, pick any seat you want.
Yeah.
Wherever you're comfortable.
I'll just quickly introduce myself. I'm
I
Pat
don't
Lubin,
have a login.
and this is Cora Edwards. I'm president of our.
Can you log in?
I do, but I don't, the password I don't have with me.
So we'll just keep the page on that, and we won't log in.
What is it?
If none of us
He
can.
did put that he's gonna join, so when I did get on, I can put him in, so you can see that in our meeting.
This is what we're doing.
All right, here we go.
Where is that?
It's right here.
Okay. I brought my chart with me. I'll just interject this. I really didn't, plan on my retirement. I was a string orchestra director in Liberty, and I really didn't plan on my retirement of being active in a neighborhood watch program. However, it is an important, very important program, and I wanted to explain how our program works in our area. Especially 4 years ago, we had an incident on, I don't know if you know the area, it's, I should really be standing over there, but that's Old Loomis Road, Loomis area, and we call it the Loomis Area Watch area.
So that's this part of Liberty
Yeah.
right through here?
Yeah, it's Old Loomis Road, starting from Route 52 all the way down through Scheibe Road, which is basically a 3-mile, it's a 3-mile radius. Frankie Lane, Loomis Road, where Alan lives, Alan Gary, and Loomis Village. Okay, so it's that whole specific area, and that's called the Loomis Area Watch. As I said, we started that program 4 years ago because of an incident that happened, and we decided, my husband and I decided to be proactive rather than live in fear. We decided to be proactive and start a program such as the Neighborhood Watch, because Neighborhood Watch is actually a National Sheriff's Association program that was started in 1972 when there was a wave of, an increase of crime in the nation. So we figured this would maybe work well in our community. And before I get started with the different points that I have on that chart, which I can't see.
I'm sorry,
from here.
once we get that back.
Oh, okay, yeah, if you can I passed around some,
I'll be the Les Chris sandwich board.
oh, okay, well, Carol can do that. But anyway, I want to just tell you, here are, I'll just pass this around, these are copies anyway. We got, our Loomis Area Watch program got a certificate of excellence from Sullivan Renaissance, because we were involved in, I'll pass it this way, a Renaissance program. We got a Sullivan County Legislator Certificate of Special Recognition, so you probably know about that, and that's here. You can pass that down. Loomis Area Watch Certificate of Merit from Senator Bonasek. And New York State Assembly Certificate of Merit, and that's also from here, and you can pass that around. Anyway, so I'm going to specifically concentrate on just our watch program. If you want to know about watch programs, you can certainly look it up on the internet and so on.
I'll pass that webpage of the National
Sheriff's Association. Sometimes I'm in contact with the National Sheriff's Association, which is located in Alexandria, Virginia. And they sometimes pass on some information. I'm also a member. We're a member. Our whole community is a member of the Neighborhood Watch program through the National Sheriff's Association. I'll just start with, as you see on the chart over there, or on your sheet that I passed around, that Cora passed around, it says, I'm going to put my glasses on, it says, our community designed our watch program to meet the needs and consideration of our community. Because it is a rural community, and because there are houses so far apart, like 2 acres apart, 40 acres apart, we had to accommodate the community with this watch program, and so we did so successfully. As I said, considering proximity and distance of dwelling, we considered retirees and those who are employed, and of course safety was our main priority. Beautification was another priority, because we felt they both worked together hand in hand. That was our slogan all the time, safety and beautification. It works hand in hand with the other. We, of course, have signs throughout the entire community. They look the stickers that you see on that chart, people put either on their window or on their mailbox. And then we have signs that look similar to that are posted within a certain mileage on that whole zone area. We put up speed signs. Along with that, we went to a town board meeting, and we said we need to reinstate a 35-mile-per-hour speed sign, because people were going up and down the road, at 100 miles an hour. We took care of abandoned homes and when I say we, abandoned homes and boarding house in our community were of a major concern in our community. And because of the community Loomis Area Watch effort, and that was dissolved because we persevered, and we were concerned about it and went to many meetings. We hold a community brunch every fall at the Lazy Pond Bed and Breakfast. We do a community litter pluck, and there are other activities we do within that program that are essential for the community. Along with safety, as I say, comes along that community spirit, and that's what I wanted to achieve with our Community Watch program. Was, of course, safety was crucial, but it was, in order to achieve that, we needed to get a community commitment and a community spirit and community goals. The next category is activities of the Loomis Area Watch program. That's basically, I stated in the first paragraph there. We have designated, this is how we work our neighborhood watch. We have designated zones. And what does that mean? There are around 8 households, 6 to 8 households within a zone. And so in that whole Old Loomis Village, Frankie Lane area, there are 6 zones. And we assign a captain to each zone. And that captain is responsible when we have our monthly meetings, which is generally at my house, so there are 6 captains, and whoever else wants to attend, of course, from the community can. We, of course, have wine and cheese and all this other nice, good stuff, and desserts.
Who's watching the neighborhood when you have this meeting?
Well, they're all being burglarized, though. But anyway, well, they're captains, don't forget. So the captains are, are at our house, and of course, we discuss what are the concerns and so forth and so on. And those captains, check with me what other functions or events we're planning to do besides the concern about safety. If we're planning on doing a litter pluck, or we're planning on having a dance contest or whatever, that's at those meetings. And of course, someone takes notes, and we send. By the way, I forgot to mention this. We send a newsletter out every 3 months. We send a newsletter which informs the entire watch community what events happened, what were some concerns, basically good things. We want to be on a positive note generally, and since we started the Neighborhood Watch, I'm happy to say that we've had mainly positive events rather than negative. So we have those captains and the zones that meet monthly. Every neighbor in the watch area has a zone list and phone chain, and this is very important. As I told you about the captains, anybody in a specific zone, if they see something suspicious, what they need to do is immediately, if they just, for instance, if they see a car that looks, or something going on that looks a little suspicious, they're not sure, they usually don't call 911. They call...
Right, Alex?
Right, they call, yeah, they should, because that really, I think, burdens the, we're really not sure on that area, to be honest. So what I tell our folks is, if you see and you're doubtful, you call the law enforcement, either the state police or the sheriff's department. You then have to let me know, and then the phone chain starts being activated. That everybody, because the important thing that I stress to all the neighbors and people in this program is that, of course, it's important, especially in these times, if you see something, say something. But the point is, you've got to let other people know. And just because something happens like a mile down the road doesn't mean that that's not going to affect the rest of us eventually. So they know that if they see something suspicious, they're going to check with law enforcement. If it's something that they see really serious, then they'll call 911, and then they contact me, and we start the phone chain that everybody knows, whether it's on Scheibe Road or it's 3 miles down the road in the community, that something is occurring, that people are aware and are alerted to that. So that's a very, very important factor of our watch program. So that's letter D. Neighbors are instructed to notify law enforcement of any suspicious activity. President of watch community is informed of an event, and that activates the phone chain. Now, impact on the community. The community involvement, taking the responsibility of maintaining safety. This is our theme and variation that I constantly have to remind our community members and even people outside of the community. It's time. It is really time. I grew up on 114th Street and Riverside Drive, and I've lived here for 40 years maybe. it's time for people to take, citizens, to take the responsibility of a lot of things. Being community-minded, knowing what's going on in your community, knowing who your neighbors are, especially safety-wise, and to be involved. And that's not meaning to be a vigilante and taking the law in your own hands. What it means is taking the responsibility that if you see something, you assist the law enforcement, that they know what's going on, and vice versa. It makes life, it's a win-win situation. It makes life easy for the law enforcement, and it makes life a lot easier for us, that we have that connection. So anyway, so that's basically our involvement. Working as a community for a common goal. The common goal is, as what I said, is safety, but it's also beautification. It's becoming community-minded, knowing. When I moved to Sullivan County and on that road, Old Loomis Road, 30, 40 years ago or so, I didn't know who Carol Benton was. She was all the way down on Shivey Road, which is 2-3 miles down the road. If it wasn't for the Neighborhood Watch program that we created in that community, I would have never known Carol. That would have been a real loss. But it was, no, seriously. But, and she's extremely active in it, and she's all the way down the road. And as my husband and I walk our dog, that 3-mile radius, a couple of times a week. We do it for exercise, but we also do it for sort of in our own way patrolling the area because we're retired. So we see what's going on in that whole community. It's really, really vital. When people are driving down the road, they're waving, they stop, we know each other in a 3-mile radius, which is really terrific. So creating a close bond with neighbors and friends, that is an impact of that Neighborhood Watch, of course. Creating a close bond with law enforcement, and as I said, it's a win-win situation. And that's very important, to have a close bond with your law enforcement, of course. Essentials for a watch program to be effective, and that's an important thing. Someone, I'm not going to mention, of course, any names, told me that, well, you know, the problem with Neighborhood Watch is that after things are cleared up and situations and problems are resolved, people forget about it, and that's it. The signs are up, but no one cares. And that is really discouraging, that it should never, ever happen. You know, it's again the same thing. If you let your guard down with any situation, if something occurs, you're like totally in shock. So it has to be an ongoing thing, regardless when times are good or not good. It has to be a continuous program. And you need strong leadership, full support from law enforcement, and full knowledge of bylaws of the program. If you see something, say something. And maintaining the goals of the watch program regardless of the success. That's what I mentioned before. It has to be an ongoing thing, and that's why our program is successful, because I'm a real nudge, and I will not allow anybody to, you know, sort of take the back seat. I shouldn't say that. I mean, we don't force anybody to be in the program, but we constantly are stressing the importance of working together to come to a common goal, which is safety and beautification. And visibility of law enforcement at scheduled watch meetings. That is essential, that when you have meetings, whether it's a captain's meeting or yearly meeting or whatever, that occasionally you do have. A couple of times we've had the state police there, and we've had the sheriff's department there, and so on. So, that's basically a you know, sort of an overview of what our program is like, and we try to follow a lot of the guidelines of the watch program as such, but of course we had to conform it to the community. And I have to say, and Carol would agree, that our community has worked well together and has achieved a lot as far as safety, community spirit, and the goals that we want to achieve for that area. And if anybody has any
Pat,
questions.
if it's okay with you, I'd like to have
Oh,
Terry
sure.
talk about
Hi, Pat.
her experience. You're
How are
welcome
you?
to sit here.
Sure.
And this is the website that you've created, and then we'll take questions for both, because I think these are two very different programs that actually show how adaptable this is.
Hi, I'm Terry Vandermeulen. I live in Monticello. A little bit about myself. I am a business owner at Universal Power Systems with my husband for 25 years. I have 5 children. I too also belong to Sullivan Renaissance and beautify the community as much as possible, decorate the little information booth in front of our little courthouse. And I am also working on the Seeds of Hope project with the town at the entrance of the town park for its memorial garden that I'm working on. I too, as Pat said, we can't just sit around and let the burden go on to our neighbor, or to wait for the officers to see what's going on. We need to help them. They can't be everywhere at once, and we don't have enough of them. We need more of them. And we are their eyes and we are their ears. And I'm new to the program, and actually I was listening to Pat because I like your suggestions and ideas, and we'll keep them to heart. I too registered with the USAOnWatch.org, and the greatest thing is, and I'll pass some of this stuff around, is they give you your little welcome kit and you're registered. I started on Facebook, Sullivan County Neighborhood Watch Group. As you can see, there's over 2,000 members on that group site. It's a closed group because we don't want everyone to see what we're putting on there. There is, unfortunately, I'm not good with my passwords, but I did make a copy, and I will, when I get back to my residence, I will approve the Sullivan County so they can get in there and see it at all times. But there's a copy of the first 5 pages. And a lot of people do post vehicles. They post where the burglaries are, where they're occurring. Some have private messaged me for help, and I will take Pat's advice at having a little kind of a calling group there, and when not to use 911 if it's not necessary or necessary, and develop a relationship with the Sheriff's Department and with Monticello's Village and the state troopers. I do know for a fact that quite a few officers have said they have made a couple arrests due to that website. Just on the tips, because people say a lot of different things and they throw everything out there. I started with these signs, and there are 12 of them out there right now, and these are the signs that we use. Can you just
Sure.
say cheese? And they're out there in the community. There's one over by the Motor Club. Right across from their entrance right now. There's one on Wood Ave and Holmes, Wood Ave and Monticello Street. There's one on Cantrell Road, Cooper Corners and 17B. Actually, they have 2 now. Sedaria Road, there's also another one, which is Cooper Corners. Lawrence and Lloyd Lane, Rupp Ave, Patricia and Atwell, which is my area, Atwell and Wood Ave. And those are the signs right now. So, I am trying to gather some people in the community. We are watching out for each other right now, and we do call in when we do see something that's not right and does look suspicious. And my logo all the time is, if you see something, say something, because don't keep quiet. It could be crucial to save a neighbor's home. And basically, just what Pat said is everything that I'm for, and I'm new to this, so I'm just a year into this, but I am working on establishing the relationship with the officers first, and then going from there, and following my packet, which is great, because this is such a great program through the USAOnWatch.org, and anyone can go there, and you know, we need to take a stand, and we need to, as community members, help our law enforcement. They can't do it on their own. It's just too overwhelming in this area, and it's well overdue. I think it's well overdue. There's just too many burglaries every day. There's one somewhere, And we need to get the business owners involved in the areas as well. They need to be alerted and know about the program, and they see a lot more than any of us.
I want to thank you, and now open it up as part of the discussion if you have any questions, Kathy.
I do. My question to Pat and to, do you go to the senior groups, like the seniors meet once a week at certain local facilities? Do you go to their and talk about your program?
That's an idea.
Because seniors are so
They are
at such a
involved.
disadvantage, and they are so they're some of them live by themselves. They don't have husbands. They don't have guns. They don't whatever. But so have you don't reach out to them as
Just the ones in the neighborhood.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
just
reach out
ones in
to
the
the
neighborhood.
people- Right.
Okay.
We reach out to the people who are in the community where we have that watch program. And just to give you an idea of how we've taken it a step farther, for instance, there was a woman who, she just lost her husband, unfortunately, and she lives alone, she's an elderly woman, she lives, up Old Loomis Road all the way down, it's like almost 2 miles from me. And what our community does, because we have a little bit of a fundraising kind of deal too, we ask for some money for mailings, as I told you, we have a newsletter, but we send out, sympathy cards or when things are good and bad as well. So they'll send out a card to someone who has, unfortunately, had a death in the family. Sometimes we'll send flowers if we have enough money in our fund, and stuff like that. So we've taken it beyond just the safety part of it, so people feel comfortable, and we keep them in touch with the newsletter, and also informing them if they don't have email. That's why we send the newsletter out, because some, especially the elderly, don't have they don't have a computer or they don't use it. So they get the newsletter, and we keep them in touch with what's going on. That is important. That's vital. You're absolutely right.
So when you first started the program, let's say how did you decide who you're going to invite to your house to start the meeting about how did you start?
Well,
the
first what we did after I screamed holy murder for around a month. No, because our house was broken into when we were gone. What we did is we alerted some neighbors who we knew who were around us heard about this situation, and they called us. Well, what should we do? I'm worried. I'm concerned. So we said, well, what we're going to do is we're going to put flyers in everybody's mailbox within this area, and that we're going to have a meeting. We're going to discuss this, but basically, as I said before, to be proactive, to make it that safety is our priority here. What things can us as citizens in a community do in order to, alleviate this situation and help it out? And so we had over 45 people come to that meeting. I don't know if you remember that, but and Lou Alvarez was there, and
He's on the road patrol for people who don't know.
Right. So he, and anyway, so we had the meeting, and of course we downloaded a lot of the information for the Neighborhood Watch program prior to that meeting, and we discussed all the situations, and all of a sudden you heard people say, oh yeah, we had a problem here, oh yeah, I remember, and we had this situation, and all of a sudden things started popping up. I go, well, where have you been all this time? And some of these people I didn't even know. Well, one woman lives across this. One woman I haven't seen.
You don't want to give away where you live.
Okay. Right. Yeah, he was here prior. I'm not gonna say who. His father lives across the street, and Mom lives across the street from the bed and breakfast. We had a meeting at Lazy Pond Bed and Breakfast. They didn't know how to get there. Did you hear what I said? They didn't know how. They live across the street from Lazy Pond Bed and Breakfast, and they didn't know where it was. So it was, So this really, I don't know if I'm going in tangents here, but this was really important because when we had that first meeting, people met each other, and whoa, things started to happen, and they agreed that this was a very important program too.
Well, Terry, since you've started recently, you've been doing it for 4 years now, and you've been doing it for a year. What advice would you have for someone who wants to start it in their street?
Well, I didn't know anything about it, and I just punched in Neighborhood Watch. I Googled it, and that's when I found the USA Watch
Darcy.
pack. And actually the NRA was there as well. There was a couple of different groups about neighborhood watches, and I just kept reading and reading and reading. And then I registered Monticello area, for Fallsburg, that area, and I registered, and they asked me the closest sheriff's department. I did put the address and all the information of the sheriff department, and they sent me the welcome package, and they said, thank you for, you know, taking action in your community. Get in touch with your local law enforcement, which I am doing right now, and build that watch group. We're not going to patrol areas. We deal a lot with this online site. But again, like you had said, the elderly, but I do have a lot of neighbors that are elderly, and they're out there with their, can't see, so you see them with their binoculars or with some, and I'm like telling them, use those binoculars. If you see something with them,
Right.
you tell me, you call me, and they're like, okay, so now I know when a tree is falling in the backyard, or a cat is lost, or whatever, but it's okay, because it just may get a little tip just from one of them, and then right away I would call and help them out that way. But
Do we know, Cora, how many townships have the neighborhood watch? We know Liberty and we know Monticello.
There's
We
a
have one in Rock Hill.
Foxcroft Village.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
I
that's
met with
three,
that
okay.
one, yeah.
And I know the Fallsburg police were meeting with a group in Hurleyville.
Okay.
So maybe
That's-
what we can do is have, you know, all of the neighborhood watch groups come
Get
together,
together.
and then put a call out if anybody
Bigger.
wants to join, to
Sure.
create one in their neighborhood. This is how the people who've done it before have done it, and then maybe at a firehouse, because we haven't had a firehouse forums for a couple of months. But people feel very comfortable coming to a
Sure,
firehouse where they might not feel comfortable coming to the government center.
that's true.
Can we just do a rundown of the ones that exist again?
Okay, so it's Liberty,
Liberty.
Monticello,
Foxcroft Village.
Foxcroft Village, and Rock Hill.
And Marie,
Rock Hill.
Rock Hill is part, right, and then,
Rock Hill is part of yours?
well, they are part,
They're in the area.
they're in that area, and so is Forestburg. Because there's a couple signs on Cantrell, and that's the
If
Forestburg
you want to
area.
contact the
Signs
Fallsburg
on my
Police,
street.
the officer to contact is Patrolman Edwards. He's in charge of the neighborhood watch program in town of
Fallsburg?
Fallsburg. Yes.
Okay, no relation. What's Jesus?
No.
So thank you very much for taking time. Sorry, Carol and Alex.
When Pat had all these flyers was organizing, I'm probably the most remote from
In terms of
her,
distance.
because it's a dead end road. And she had no idea who lived up in there, so I said, well, we'll go, come with me, we'll go. We knocked on doors if people were home. We spoke to them for a little bit. If they weren't home, we left the flyer. And that's how everybody on that road got to know what was going on.
But key is the beautification, and you need to get to know who your neighbors are.
Yeah.
And we've seen that firsthand on the news alone. You need to know who lives next door to you, and who lives in that community.
Look
You
in
know,
Cleveland
you
today.
know what cars belong there and what cars don't belong there. You see them every day, and something looks suspicious, pick up the phone.
If I can just, if you don't mind, I can interject an incident, and just so you get an idea of you know, as I say, you don't take the law in your own hands.
No.
Being vigilant and being a vigilante are two separate words.
Right.
And the meanings, that's not where we're from. But I could tell you, as I say, we don't necessarily patrol the area as much, but when you're driving, you have to drive in that 3 mile, you have to get into town, so you have to pass, you know, a lot of that area. And as I told you before, a few of us walk that 3 mile area at least a few times a week, and so forth. It's important. My dog is a watchdog also. It's a standard schnauzer, which is terrific. But anyway, just to give you an example of an incident, I was walking and there was a car that was parked above my road. And they were just sitting there, and you know, I didn't say anything, and but I noticed it, and I said, well, let's see what happens. And then as I was walking down the road, guess where they were parked? They were parked in front of my house. Well, that immediately gets my dander up, and so I asked them to roll the window down, and I said, and it was more or less an elderly couple. and a woman and man, and I said, excuse me, you know, it was very nice, and I said, you know, I just was wondering are you lost or do you need directions? You know, I thought I'd started that way. And they said, no, we're just here taking pictures. I said, oh, really? You know, you're taking pictures inside the car in front of my house. So, you know, you don't want to be too suspicious, but, you know, the way you handle it. So I said to them, well, you know, I just want to alert you. And I think this is important. Instead of right away, you know, calling and getting frantic or not, or forgetting about it, I said to them, well, you know, I just want to alert you that this is a neighborhood watch zone. And someone in this community, someone, even if it's, you know, not suspicious or anything, is going to take your license plate number down. And they're going to keep it on file, and they're going to give it to me. And then I'm going to have to report it. So, you know, I'm just alerting you. I don't want to get you upset or anything, but that may happen, then we may alert the law enforcement, then they come here. So I don't want you to have unnecessary agita, so I'm just giving you that, you know. Well, the answer, now, any other normal person would have said, you know, if in fact it was innocent, they would have said, oh, well, thank you, you know, we didn't mean, or something. They said, oh, I don't care, you can take our license plate number down. Okay, so thank you. And they went on their merry way. So that number, you know, as I say, it might have been innocent, but just that answer to me, you know, after I was being very cordial and I didn't threaten them or anything, because that's not neighborhood watch, but it is showing how our community responds when they see
and not just that, that helps, and the burglars aren't going to go where they see a big German Shepherd up at their window barking. They're not going to go. They're moving to that next house. So when people ask you, what could I do? I tell them on the group site, get a surveillance system. Put it in. It's cheap, $300 you could get one for, and focus those eyes on your driveway, on your front door. I have a big wraparound gate. I have 2 beware dog signs, and I have 2 locks on that gate. Nobody's getting behind there. And
motion lights also.
Motion lights, lidded areas at night. Don't leave the newspaper. Don't leave your yellow book sitting by the mailbox for 3 months. Get somebody else to pick up your mail. Have somebody else shovel your driveway out. Those are all things that you could, you know, let people know to do to just for safety.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
we're going to have to
add to that. Yeah, I'll just. Yeah. We have an alarm system and all that other stuff.
Yes,
and, but that's, you know, that's only protecting yourself. And our concern is for everybody in the community, not just yourself.
So I'd like to wrap it up. I just want to summarize by first of all thanking you all for taking the time to share your experiences. The second thing I want to bring out is I think that there were some really good ripple effects from this, not least of which is that you get to know your people and that there's a sense of empowerment rather than people living in fear, or there's this sense that, you know, you're not safe in your own house anymore, is the sense that there's something that you can do, and that empowerment is probably one of the best things about these programs that I can hear, that you're doing something and it's having an effect. And the third thing is having Sullivan Renaissance been my former employer, I'm very glad to hear that Sullivan Renaissance is such an integral part. I don't think it was intended in the beginning, but it's something that keeps the community tied together, and, you know, beautification is kind of the next step. So I want to, again, thank you both for coming. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but we're going to have to keep moving. So, oh, sorry, Alex, you're just leaving. That you had wanted to say something. You were raising your hand.
Don't ever hesitate to call 911. There's a little bit of question. We don't want to hear about the stray cats, but certainly if you see something, say something, call 911. The dispatcher will try to weed out. If it's a non-emergent call, they'll transfer you to the sheriff's office. Or if it seems like something that's in progress or an emergency, they're trained to get you help right away. So don't ever be afraid to call 911.
Thanks again, Alex. So the district attorney came last Thursday because he's in court this afternoon. Jeff, we had an emergency meeting with you on the grant. I take it that everything went well. You got it in at 5 o'clock?
The plans were submitted, probation plan application was submitted to DCGS on Monday. The alternative incarceration plan was submitted on Tuesday. We're in full compliance with all mandates by the state, so it's expected there'll be no issues, and the plans will be approved shortly, and shortly means the state usually notifies us sometime in September that they're accepting our plan.
But it happens every year.
It happens every year.
And how are, if you can just say a few words about the webinar, the webinars that are the trainings that the staff is taking?
There's a new supervision rule going in effect on June 1st. We've been ramping up to meet the criteria mandated by the state for the past 2 months. Basically, every staff member is attending a webinar each and every day. We've basically formulated a plan that we don't expect there to be any issues in meeting the requirements of the new supervision plan. It does change things significantly, but we are sort of ahead of the ball because it requires more field work, and some departments are kind of just office-based, but we've been out in the field quite a bit, so like I said, we're ahead of the game with that.
I'm glad to hear it. Yes,
How are we
Jean?
coming along on our video conferencing setup?
I spoke with Lauren earlier today, and I spoke with House Nets earlier in the week. It looks like we're go for next week. That should go live sometime next week. They said for our department they're going to be there Monday. We do have an area set aside that is a secluded area to put the video equipment and all the communication equipment in.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All righty. Mike? Mike, Blake?
Crime, we're at the end of April here, we investigated 60 residential burglaries this year, just kind of a significant number.
I'm sorry, say again, 16 or 60?
60.
60.
60 from January to May, or?
Through the end of April. So 4 months of residential burglaries and 2 commercial burglaries. One was a restaurant, one was a blacktop garage. We make some arrests on those. Every arrest that we made this year has been drug related, so that problem continues. Pretty much bring this up every meeting, but everybody we've arrested for burglary or possession of property has been involved in drug, heroin for the most part, of those nasty drugs. Recently, we get a lot of, this nice weather brings a lot of our seasonal people back here, so we got some wool burglaries that are part of that. 60 that we may have already arrested people on, we're not sure. The statistics though, for instance, you take an area that, you know, these burglars, they target an area, whether it be Smallwood, Rock Hill, something like that. And we don't have all the reports in because a lot of the residents haven't been back yet. So some of those are now being reported. We may have some success making some arrests for people that we've already arrested or we did that. That's pretty much all I have on that, other than I'd like to comment on Terry's neighborhood watch thing. I think every member of the Sheriff's Patrol is part of your Facebook web page there. We send her a lot of information. She posts it immediately. For instance, if we're looking for a particular color car in emerald green or something, and she has it out there, the neighbors find out about it. It's just huge resource for us, and we do get some tips back on that. So what she's done for the last year or so has been quite helpful, at least in the burglary end of this thing. I don't know how much you prevent, but I know that it has been helpful in solving some of them.
That would be hard to get the prevention numbers. And out of the 60 burglaries, how many would you say were tip related, that there were tips?
That's all right.
The solving of them?
That someone called and that helped?
That helped us solve them? I don't
Or that they were happening? I mean, to what extent do tips play into this?
Let me tell you this, 60 burglaries, I think we made 7 arrests. That's 7 people. Now, they're responsible for more than one burglary. And most times they're responsible for 3 or 4. And Cora, I'm sorry, I just really don't know how many of them are related directly to you know,
a call,
tip
yeah,
or something like that. I just don't have that.
That's all right. It's just good for us to know as time goes by, Kath.
Like, I don't know if you can answer this now, but out of the 60 burglaries, how many are the second home? How many are second homes or homes that are vacant? Could you give me, you know?
The majority of those that I just told you about are primary residences.
Okay.
Probably only, I would say, a single number, a handful, maybe second seasonal residences, and we just started getting them within the last 2 weeks as people came up here with the better weather. So most of them are occupied residents where people live every day. Just an interesting thing, I don't know when you walk your dog, but most of these burglaries occur in the morning. They're right after you all go to work. So walking your dog at 5 o'clock at night, burglaries aren't happening, and people know you're home. They burglarize your homes, not all the time, but that we know of, predominantly daytime, early day.
So since they're all drug related, as a community and as a body of legislators, how can we, as we really need to deal with the drug problem, correct? Opposed to, because it's all related.
All drug driven.
So how, as a law enforcement officer, how can we, what do we do?
Well,
You tell me.
community watch is great, but it only works as long as you have people that are there when a burglary is about to occur.
Right.
I live in the Village of Liberty. People walk their dogs on the street I live on, after work. It does nothing for my house after I go to work or they go to work, and most people are working. So I don't really know the surveillance cameras. I can tell you this too, that some of these burglars that are drug addicts, they are so driven, they will look right down the barrel of a camera lens and walk into your house. We've seen that in Fallsburg case, Rockbridge burglar here. They're not deterred in many cases by the presence of a camera, even though it might be a real camera.
What about alarm systems? What about alarm?
Well, alarm systems are fantastic. They'll really deter a burglary. Two types of alarm systems. One's going to go into a company to a phone system or something of that nature. Others, if I had one on my house, I'd put a siren to it so that it would wake up everybody for 3 miles in every direction, or both perhaps. So the alarm systems are only as good as the people that respond to them as well. But I think the barking dog is an alarm system all by itself. It's very similar to some great noise going off.
So my last question is, you said there was 60 burglaries and only 7 have been arrested, is that what you said?
We arrested 7 people for at least 7 burglaries, but some of them are responsible for 2 or 3. Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Bless you.
Bless you.
So, do you ladies mind
The only
giving,
thing
oh.
to add to that, the question you just asked about the drugs. We're also, Tommy O'Connor beefed up the drug use gang intelligence unit. They're very actively working the drugs and trying to dry up the source and get the dealers and try to resolve this problem from the other end. We're working from both ends of that. But it's a problem, but we're on that. But that's a whole separate end of it. They do happen to be intertwined. We've got a team working on that also.
So the things that people can do is, if they want to start a neighborhood watch, is join the site. On Facebook, we'll set up a firehouse forum for all of the neighborhood watches to come together sometime in June, before all the big summer stuff, and contact the sheriff's office.
Well, the only thing I would recommend, Cora, on that, I think these neighborhood watches should coordinate through some police. There should be some police interaction.
Whichever,
us, the state police, Monticello, Liberty, Fallsburg, whoever.
Well, the town of Fallsburg already has something in place where they have an officer who is dedicated to neighborhood watch.
And is knowledgeable.
But you also want, depending where you live.
Yeah,
you want
absolutely.
an agency that can react to your problem. If you live in Fallsburg, that's good.
Right.
They can't react to Fremont or Mannequin. And I believe there is a neighborhood watch in Worcester.
Yes.
Well, I think the thing.
But what I would recommend is, as you set these up, interact with some police agency to get some training. It's more important what you don't do than what you do. You don't want to get in too deep.
Exactly.
When you interact with people, you don't know who or what you're dealing with. And I like the way Terry's is set up, and I think that's going to be the new mold. The old neighborhood watches were about forming patrols, having rigorous formation where people did certain things. And that's great. If you've got the manpower that's got the time and the dedication, that is the Cadillac. That is the way to go. But I think you find in most areas you don't get that tight-knit group. That's been my experience. And if you can get people just to watch, just to be trained what to look for, how to report it, and when they report it or see it, don't get too involved, don't get sucked in. And there is no right or wrong way. Like I said, the Cadillac is if you've got people who go out in your neighborhood and just patrol it, that's great. It's hard to keep up. It's hard to find the people that have the time or the dedication. I take my hat off to you. Not only did you do a great job teaching my kids to play stringed instruments, you're doing good on the neighborhood watch. But I think when you start to deal with areas where there's not going to be that personal contact, where it's not going to be your neighbor, where it may be a larger area, I think Terry's idea with the internet, telling people what to look for, how to report it, what not to do, and having someone to liaison with the police that you know who to contact to get a quick response, whether it, in certain instances 911 would be the way to go, it can be very helpful. You know, having those eyes and ears out there, and as you said, everybody says, if you see something, say something, but if you see something, say something now. We get people that call up, you know, a couple of days ago I saw this, or last week, or last night. We need, if there's something happening, we need to know now. And that can, you know, I'm sure you've seen a lot of things up in Loomis that didn't necessarily pertain to burglaries, but you keep an eye on your neighborhood. You're seeing what's going on, and you're reporting it. But a day or two later really isn't, just because you report it, isn't helpful. If we can get cars out there, if we can be looking for that while they might have proceeds in the vehicle. But great program, great idea, anything that you can start, like, either way.
Just a side note for you ladies, also, and Alan, I believe it's out in your neck of the woods, Wolf Lake has their own patrol, I believe, the Wolf Lake, and I believe Wanasink Lake has their own paid patrol.
I think the other takeaway message is that anybody who wants to start one, there's plenty of resources. You did that without, you know, you just did it on your own. We said, we're doing it, and it's done. And I think that's the main thing, is the feeling that there is something that you can do to change it around and to get out of a fear mode and into a confidence mode and into a safety mode. I think that that's probably one of the most important characteristics of the Neighborhood Watch, is taking the neighborhood back, feeling safe in your own home,
People
and
wanna
feeling
feel
confident.
safe, and they're tired of all this. They're just tired of it.
They don't want the
And
status.
in fact, a little group of us, we just said, not in our hood. They're going to move
like
on.
that. Oh, I like
You
that.
know, then we can get out of here.
All right, it's now past 5 o'clock. I want to thank everyone, and we'll start back again on the second week of June.
First, you said the first.
If we could legalize landmines, I'd be fine. Only certain people would have a map to my front door.
Back to the second week. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Back to the second week in June. Dick will be back with us, and everybody will be, and we'll keep it tight. Okay, thank you all. Have a safe weekend.
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn. Have a safe motion to adjourn.